Well, whatever the fuck I title this stuff. It'll be titular. Oh my god. I can't I can't even because well you'll see you'll all see because oh man, words cannot describe what cannot express what happened to me after eating these. The gummy bear cleanse, if someone that can tolerate the substitute, enjoy. If you're like the dozens of the people that tried my order, run. First of all, for taste, I'd rate these a five. So good, soft, true to taste fruit flavors like the sugar variety. I was a happy camper, but, or should I say, but. Not long after eating about 20 of these, all hell broke loose. I had a gastrointestinal experience like nothing I've ever imagined. Cramps, sweating, bloating beyond my worst nightmare. I've had food poisoning from some bad shellfish that was most likely a skip in the park compared to what was going inside me. Then came the flatulence. Heavens to Murgatroyd. I don't know how to say that. The sounds like trumpets calling the demons back to hell with stench like a thousand rotting corpses vomited. I couldn't stand to say in one minute. Fear of succumbing to my own odors. Wait, there's more. What came out of me felt like someone tried to put Niagara Falls through a coffee straw. I swear, my sphincters were screaming. It felt like my delicate starfish was a gaping maw, projectile vomiting a torrential flood of toxic waste. All 100% liquid, flammable liquid. Napalm is actually a bit humorous for a nanosecond. This is just beyond anything I could imagine possible. And it went on for hours. I found this over sometime in the early morning the next day. There's stuff coming out of me that I ate. I think 2005. I had five 5 pounds of these innocent looking, delicious tasting hell bears. So I told a friend about what happened to me, thinking he had to be some type of sensitivity. And the sugar substitute. And it's when you give prescriptions for chances and take them off my hands. Moment all the same for her and the phone call for her all the time. Because the guy doesn't. That's not telling me she really went she would lose it. I think she was crying. Her sister was looking at me, saying she turned into work. Sister still making her oh, she wants her sister loudspeakers, landscapes, etc. Lots of people returning with limited access to toilets on a given day. I can't imagine where all of these poor men and women put poop that day. I keep visiting men on roofs crossing their legs, trying to decide if I can make it down the ladder or just jump. If you order these, best of luck to you, and please don't post the video during the aftershock. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, there's a food text version. Holy shit. Oh, dear God. And there's more. There is more. Oh, okay. There's another video. I just opened up a bunch of pages. Oh my God. This one's an entire fucking story worth of words. Okay, I can only press. Okay. Um. Oh, Jesus Christ. Reviewed in. Oh my God. I have to compose myself. This is a cautionary tale, and unlike most of the reviews of this product, this is a true story, and its authenticity can be qualified by a small news item that appeared in the Toronto Star's local news section during the month of April in 2013, much to my chagrin. I would consider myself a prudent man, not given to bouts of outspoken giving attention. It's really not one to rock the boat. On any given day, I can be found reading a fine novel or park bench in the middle of the city, soaking in the opulence of nature while nibbling on my tuna fish sandwiches and fending off the voracious gulls and squirrels that threaten to spoil my repose. This is me, law-abiding and introspective, which is why it came to me as a shock to find myself incarcerated because of the devil's confectionery, Satan's sweetmeat, Lucifer's lozenges, the whore that is known as Haribo sugar-free gummy bears. I'll set the scene. I'll set the scene. It was a late winter early spring in Toronto, and the city had just been digging itself out from a late season snowstorm. I was heading to Pearson International Airport for a red-eye flight to Amsterdam in order to give the Dutch arm some of our company some training on the new software that had been stalled and deliberately being made to perform the less payment in any way to incident that occurred. I dismissed packing, checked the time, and found I was running late. My flight was at 7:10 p.m. and it was now almost 5 p.m. Cursing softly, I went to the car and threw my bags in the trunk, hitting the gas a little harder and a little harder than usual in my haste to make it to the long-term packing lot as soon as possible. Luckily, traffic was light on the 401, and I made it within record time. I knew that my chances of making the flight were still at risk if I didn't use my time wisely. I hadn't eaten since lunch, and I was feeling a bit hungry. My stomach rumbling loudly protestation, which caused me to look around as other travelers rushing past me in the busy tune. I'm mortified that my noises might be heard by others. I briskly checked my watch, saw that I had enough time to grab a quick snack before going for the baggage check and security. To get something more substantial, we must check for security as well. She nestled in the relatively low traffic corner of the terminal, and rushed over, already pulling out my credit card and mentally testing what I had a craving for, so as to save time interacting with the screen. My eyes scanned the colorful array of confection, quickly coming to rest on the tantalizing rainbow-colored bag of gum bears with a simple white and red logo, Haribo, emblazoned across the back of what appeared to be a slightly tweaked cover to round your thought. Pausing on the story for a moment to underscore the importance of making proper choices. I was hungry. When you're hungry, you should eat food. Food is defined as a nutritious substance that people consume to maintain life. This is what food is. These days, the definition of the word food has been bastardized and the meaning broadened to include relatively any material that can be digested, or rather, food being swallowed without causing death or severe illness. Haribo sugar-free gummy bears are not food. They aren't even from this planet. I imagine their origins being conceived in a boardroom in hell by a top team of creative pain administrators with senior-level demons rubbing their hands together in ghoulish delight as hell the chief chemist slowly lifts the veil on their new creation. The point being, I made a very poor choice. I pressed the button, and the vending machine injected the brightly colored bag into my waiting hands. I always, I had always liked gummy bears. They were bright but rather innocuous. They were overly sweet as they become cloying. And of course, each candy came in a gift sauce with a forever happy, docile bear, reminiscent of a picture one's mind's eye holds of all anthropomorphic bears, from a yogi to a the way I figured it, I was taking a bit of a holiday from life, so I could relax my fastidiously regimented daily schedule, to allow for some free-falling. After all, I was going to be in Amsterdam come morning with 16 hours to kill before I had to be training Dutch employees. Maybe I would take a trip down to one of the coffee shops in the red light district and really let my hair down. No, I wouldn't do that. I'd see that area of the city from the bus as I went to the hotel where I'd eat at the restaurant and drink sparkling water. So I'd better enjoy the gummy bears. My one extravagance to commemorate my break from routine. I turned the queue in the KM line, which is mercifully short, most likely because all of the passengers from my flight had already been checked through as the flight scheduled to depart an hour. I checked my watch again, found, absent-mindedly opened the bag of Haribo sugar-free gummy bears and began to munch on them as the line slowly advanced. To be fair, they tasted fine, just like every other manufacturer's brand of colorful candy, and they were sugar-free to boot. This is what made the whole incident that followed so baffling. If they had tasted awful different, I most likely wouldn't have continued to shovel them to my absent-mindedly daydream about what I would order to eat from room service in my hotel in Amsterdam. As I gave the attendant my e-tickets when she weighed my bags, the first of the pains began in my stomach. I thought nothing of it at first, chalking it up to the fact that I needed something more substantial than gummy worms to tackle my hunger. But over the course of the next 5 minutes, the string pain began to come in more rapid succession. Oh, I have to take a drink. I'm so thirsty. I really should have grabbed a bigger bottle of water. Uh, in rapid succession. At this point, I had my boarding pass printed, and moving my stomach a little, I proceeded to security. I briefly entertained the thought of trying to find restroom before going for security. But at that point, my discomfort was manageable, and I didn't think it would get any worse. Certainly not within the amount of time it'd take to clear security. I joined the line and started fishing for my passport to present to the agent checking tickets. I felt a thin sheet of sweat break out on my forehead and underarms. Future lost for a moment as a wave of heat washed over me. I didn't pay it much heed as going through security always caused me great anxiety, and I chalked it up to pre-flight jitters. As only as I stood face to face with the agent and handed her my passport and ticket that a glimpse of the agony that was about to begin. It felt like time bubbled for a moment, as if my consciousness buckled so intense, as if my consciousness buckled so intense from the pain that fired through my bowels. I grimaced spastically in the middle of one moment and felt myself taking an involuntary step sideways. Stars shot from my head briefly and my vision blurred. The agent was staring at me with light consternation, asking me if I was all right. I pulled myself together, stood up, the care of I was fine, mortified that I had lapsed of decorum not only in public but at the security clearance in an airport. As I fumbled for my belt to go for the muzzle detector, the pain in my stomach increased, and as I practically had stood on the floor and take my shoes off, terrified of what would happen if I bent at the middle to do it. It was becoming increasingly evident to me that this wasn't just a stomach ache. No, this was something much worse. As a child, I had diarrhea after a trip to Mexico with my family. I remember the feelings of nausea that swept through me before my child self was surrendered to the gas pains and parked myself on the toilet for an hour until I felt like I didn't have any bones left. That's how I was feeling now. There was several key differences. The pain was worse. The sense of an impending thumb was so formidable it gave me temporary amnesia, and it took all of my willpower, all of it, to clench my butt cheeks together to prevent my sphincter from exploding. A sudden shock of pain wrecked my body. I half wondered if I was going to give birth to a Tasmanian devil. The crazy, fever-induced image of that cartoony animal chasing bug through the splashing organic shit kettle that was my stomach caused me to listen to a short maniacal attack of laughter as I pushed the middle detector. While the distant look in my eyes, sweat now beginning to pour off me like a long-distance runner in Kenya. Security agent on the other side of the detector shot a quick glance over her narrowed her eyes and some moved to his holster. My I had taken off a sock spot registering, and one of my short towels was untucked at the front. I held my breath, my eyes bulging dangerously from my head as the machine scanned me. As I shakily moved towards the lesion for a pat down, my stomach began to elicit sounds that can only be described as otherworldly. Start off with sort of bubbling sound, heard from afar, grew in pitch and intensity, and no longer me. The jaw dropping sound was like that's what I can play this guy. As the sound of an agonized wailing alley cat in heat with a persistent Doppler effect added to its voice emitted from some never reachable distance. The officer's eyes widened in alarm. She kept her eyes glued to my stomach as she firmly patted me down. As she reached my heels, I felt my innards suddenly expand and plummet towards my rectum. With cat-like reflex, I squeezed my sphincter shut with what seemed like nanoseconds to spare. And I knew that if I did get to the bathroom immediately, I would shit myself. Her, Herculean effort and all the strength that I could muster, I forced my butt cheeks together, knowing that one false move would open the floodgates. I began to walk like a duck, trying to remain as inconspicuous as possible, not even caring now what other people are seeing in front of me. There's a simple, barefoot 40-year-old businessman, face bloody-eyed, sweating profusely, shaking slightly, and walking without bending his knees. Ignore my intensity, I grabbed my carry-on shoes and socks from out of the plastic tub that had passed the extra inspection, and without putting anything back on, I turned on my heels, intention to find the nearest restroom and slowly lying there one squirt at a time. But that's not what happened. I turned to go and find myself staring at three armed guards whose agent just stopped me and asked if I would follow them. Why? What's the matter? I stammered, pushing slightly at the galaxy speed, seeming to strain the tenuous and extremely fragile truce I had negotiated between my bowels and the tempest that raged within. I have to go to the bathroom right now. I pleaded. Just follow us, please. Said, leaving no room for argument. The killing security checks stirred curiosity and revulsion. Expected him before them, whispering amongst themselves and hurrying to pack up their belongings. and get as far as away from me as possible, knowing that I was assuming the airport had nabbed some sort of domestic terrorist. If I hadn't been previously trying to hold back the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, I likely would have died of shame. Just step I took towards the room they ushered me into, I felt like my legs would give way. I marveled at how strong the human will could, marveled at what was essentially patching a hole in the Hoover Dam with bubble gum could actually be sustained indefinitely. Maybe I would make it through this ordeal after all. The room they brought me into was an examination room. I had trimmed with stop registering details of my environment as my concentration closed off all but the oh god! But the absolutely necessary function of breathing ability to walk, I snapped back to reality when I heard the snap of rubber, the slow gunning. Realized as I took from my agony stomach proceeded to sit to face an agent donning rubber gloves. Sir, we're going to perform a cavity search on you. I don't rest face agents stating through my emotions voice. Short, blonde ears making. No, I wonder if he's an actor. This is all some sort of practical show. That these bored kids watching YouTube. He must have taken my torture sounds. He looked at me sharply and said, lower your pants and underwear, please, and face the desk. He started to grip me in his ice grasp. Trembling into the storm, my sphincters forwards and then my anus into. I inhaled sharply with pain gasp. I don't know what to do. Sure, please. I begged you. I had to go to the bathroom. You can follow me to the stall if you need to, but I had some bad sugar-free gummy bears. I feel like they had stopped listening and smirked at each other. Two of the young arrangers tall, sure, horrifying man looked away from me, shaking as they stifled their last shirt. Face the wall, put your hands on the desk, and spread your cheeks. The young Asian stated, a lopsided grin on the face. But I began to protest, and a fresh shock of pain forced me to stop and lean on the table for support as an ungodly rose from my stomach. Something between the diagnosis of a holy man and the sound of popping underwater. The phone about sticking your shoulders, honey. Running down onto the tabletop from me, I turned to face the wall and heard a meek, childlike voice playing from somewhere in the room. Please, something with me. My mind recognized that this sound had issued from me. All combinations of good secretary from my body. Oh, my breath. He probably had some heroin or something there, but like the female guards in the part of me has game. Probably has a kite. Look at him, she said. The sort of guy to be snores from it. She oh my god! Oh, Jesus Christ! I feel bad for the agent. Oh, oh god, he's whispering. Hand over, please God, just God, just God. Just remember stringing myself up in fog. With half snatched images of sounds to create a nonsensical picture. No, the pain. My focus completely narrowed to a spot on the wall to confirm the curious imperfection in what seemed to be a whitewashed stone wall was a dark patch about 5 millimeters, shaped like a smiling bear, a yellow dancing bear. No, a green bear. No, red. It's all the colors of the rainbow. My God, it was beautiful. It just took something as a slight breeze to trigger Armageddon. That's all. That's all. It's no fun fair. No fire raining from the heavens, no dogs and cats living together in harmony, no finger on the button, no prophet to predict it, no nothing. As I this rainbow pain smiling, dancing from navigate, drooling, eyes placed in bloodshot, face coated with a sheen of sweat. I heard softest sound, an exhalation from and then at this instant, the warm air of his breath hovered across my crutches. Maybe in less than a split second, even in a nanosecond, I felt the presence of God there with me. As neurons began to misfire at a blinding rate, Earth entered. Bristled and Muslim strips reflexively. I stood on the brink of one foot hovering on the edge, and then without taking a step, I found myself sound like an extra large plastic gas of final finger of the back truck. My sticky hands, the pressure of the blast pushed me to the desk. The street across the floor. My body imagine for more experience relief I can all of you describe as orgasmic in its purity. My eyes roll back in my head, and my tongue rolled out of my head like an for dog to dog, and I repeated a low, sustained groan, bitch, and I opened the door and pushed its way out of my body. Tremors were at my body, and I must have looked like a fish out of water with an endless stream of shit firing out of its ass. Other sounds and sensations. Now, in and out. As my consciousness begins to turn to the more level scream of a dungeon full of monsters. Her death radiating from my stomach. There is a liters of liquor trying to escape from temperature too small to accommodate it all at the same time. The omnipresent sound of chunky liquid spreading against a hard surface. Force time-based human calling out to God. Another voice sobbing uncontrollably, pulling it to make it stop. Am I only extending altitude with holding in its course as those points come back from the way I'm laughing with me. It's a bird, elephant. My God. And then sent in a colony of fire ants to eat it. For my sobs are sounding like on the speakers. Our ventilator turned off after an office fire. We're after a thunderstorm with a little bit. Already it's above me. After the sky stopped. Oh my god. I come behind me, the sofa continued, and I'm just begin to walkie-talkie, but nonsensical words were all that man could speak. Sound like the ravings of a lunatic. With great relief, I slowly pulled myself off the table, legs trembling, and my stomach illustrating one last sound. A loud, prolonged cat, hoping that eerily resembled a pickle. I slowly turned my head to survey the devastation. And in that instant, if I had a pencil or some other sharp object, I probably would have gouged my eyes out in revulsion. And the smell was enough to drive a man insane. It was the stench of rotting potatoes mixed with sulfur and ammonia, cooked in a broth of chicken cheese he's been left to age for 2 weeks in a yeasty stew at the bottom of a ranch house. And after half of a whiff, those girls bite. I mean, they stopped breathing. Who knows? But the taste to remain after my foot succumbed. The young Asian peasant would just be, and at first I couldn't process what he said. I thought somehow the young black kid has been spirited away and replaced by a brown golem over an 18 rider, and it's been the better part of the day driving through every mud puddle we could find after a torrential downpour. With some degree of compartmentalization, I came to understand that for some unfathomable reason, this cat hadn't moved, or hadn't been able to move or had been able to move the entire fecal deluge. He'd weathered the entire salt head on like some sort of hero from Greek mythology. I'd have given this poor smoke a one-man bukkake that'd make a Brazilian cream from him. Scott's he was still in the same position he must have been for the moment of first impact. I tried to comprehend how he's feeling, what he must be going through psychologically, but it became evident very quickly that he had become very broken, no doubt, forced so deeply within himself once the fire hose had been turned on, that there was no little hope of him ever coming back. Certainly not without extensive psychotherapy or lobotomy. I looked down his quivering catatonic and I swung to see a perfect outline of him on the way well behind him. I resigned with a dripping opaque layer of alternate pulp beneath the stew. And his true quivering necessity to exchange the room and realized they were from God, what is going on? This is fluttering shipless. And this is the tableau that was burnt into my mind's eye for eternity. Needless to say, I missed my flight. In fact, the next week is a blur. I have some vague recollections of the army of hazmat cloth figures who moved in the landscape of the soiled room, slopping new sounds of rubber bullets scorching upon the fed detritus, uncontrollable wailing and animal-like soundings issuing from the mouths of the creatures that had been traumatized beyond their capacity being put back together, a complete loss of sensation from my waist down as I was rolled through the room on a waterproof grip. Still struggling to surf on top of the shit so cool. I spent a week with the hospital enclosed in a well-ventilated facility. The student doctor coming in on the hour to monitor my vital signs as they tried to rehydrate my body. I had apparently expelled every available drop from my body that was possible to sustain life without for a short period of time. All of my clothes were incinerated in the hospital's crematorium. The soiled bag of Haribo sugar-free gummy bears was never recovered. This is my story. It is inconceivable to think. It is inconceivable to think that this kind of product can be sold illegally and misrepresented as food. I was lucky. I survived. As for the families of the survivors and the survivors themselves, they will forever live with the trauma of the events that took place at the Pearson International Airport and that snowy day in April 2013. Alas, 8,029 people found this helpful. Hallelujah, holy fucking shit. Oh my god. Even more, 'cause I'm going. Oh my god, that took 20 minutes to read. Holy shit, I just had to end it there. Oh my god. I'll keep more coming if you guys want it. God help me.